Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the salient features of the double helix structure of DNA. Salient features of the double helix structure of the DNA. In the last session, we had already learned that Watson and Crick find out the double helix structure, and something about the structure also already. Two polynucleotide chains are there, that already we had learned that. Now we are going to learn the salient features of the double helix structure. Salient features of the double helix structure. So the salient features of the double helix structure of DNA are as follows. First one, it is made of two polynucleotide chains. It is made of two polynucleotide chains, where the backbone is constituted by sugar phosphate and the base project inside. Do you want to see the structure of DNA? Already I had shown you. This is the structure already I had shown you. This is the one polynucleotide chain. See the polynucleotide chain. This is one polynucleotide chain. Other chain is starting from this one to going through here. These are the two polynucleotide chain. This polynucleotide chain is made up of sugar phosphate bond only. Sugar and phosphate. Pentose sugar and phosphate only. These are the bases. Bases are projecting outwards like this only. Base pairs. So all the three components are there. First point all of you understood. Sugar phosphate. The backbone is made up of sugar phosphate bond, and base pairs are located like this. Base pairs are located like this only. So first point all of you understood. So it is made of two polynucleotide chains where the backbone is constituted by sugar phosphate bond and bases project inside. Bases project inside. Next one, the two chains have anti-parallel polarity. The two chains have anti-parallel polarity. It means anti-parallel polarity. It means if one chain has the polarity 5' to 3', if one chain has the polarity 5' to 3', 5' to 3', the other has 3' to 5'. The two chains have anti-parallel polarity. It means if one chain has the polarity 5' to 3', the other has 3' to 5'. That I will show you that one chain is passing in such a way that, see the position coming from here to here, 5' to 3', coming towards the 5' to 3'. And the other chain is going from 3' to 5'. This is called anti-parallel. One is coming downwards like this, and other is going upwards like this only. One is from 5' to 3', and other is from 3' to 5'. Third point, the base in two strands are paired through hydrogen bond. Base in two strands are paired through hydrogen bonds, forming base pairs. Two bases are joined in such a way that in between adenine and thymine, two hydrogen bonds are there. Adenine and thymine, two hydrogen bonds are there, and cytosine and guanine, three hydrogen bonds are there. Adenine and guanine, two hydrogen bonds are there. Cytosine and guanine, three hydrogen bonds are there. So in between the base, two strands are paired through hydrogen bond, forming base pairs. Adenine forms two hydrogen bond with the thymine from opposite strand and vice versa. Similarly, guanine is bonded with the cytosine with the three hydrogen bond. Adenine bonds with the thymine from opposite strand and vice versa. Similarly, guanine is bonded with the cytosine with the three hydrogen bond. As a result, always a purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine only. Adenine is bonded with the thymine. In that, adenine is purine and thymine is pyrimidine. Cytosine is bonded with the guanine only. Cytosine and guanine. So as a result, always a purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine. This generates approximately uniform distance between the two strands of the helix only. One side pyrimidine is there, then the other side pyrimidine will be there. Here one side pyrimidine is there, then the other side purine will be there. So approximately the uniform distance between the two strands of the helix are maintained. So structure you want to see, these are only. Adenine and thymine, see that this is adenine and this one is thymine. Adenine, yellow color is given for adenine, this adenine, and green color for the thymine. Like that, red color is given to cytosine and this orange color is given to guanine. So these are the base pairs. Base pairs understood. So third point all of you understood. Now fourth one, the two chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion. The two chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion only. It is right-handed only. It is coil. The pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer. The pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer and there are roughly 10 base pairs in each helix. There are total base 3.4 nanometer. The pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer and there are roughly 10 base pairs in each 10. Consequently, the distance between a BP in a helix is approximately equal to 0.34 nanometer. Consequently, the distance between a BP in a helix is approximately equal to 0.34 nanometer. The plane of one base pair stacks over the other in double helix only. The plane of one base pair stacks over the other in double helix. This, in addition to hydrogen bonds, confers stability of the helical structure. The stability of the helical structure depends on two factors. One is on the hydrogen bond. In between the adenine and thymine, two hydrogen bonds are there. In between the adenine and thymine, two hydrogen bonds are there. And in between cytosine and guanine, three hydrogen bonds are there. Hydrogen bonds are stronger bond only. So that is giving stability to DNA double helix structure. In addition to hydrogen bond, the plane of one base pair stack over the other. The plane of one base pair stack over the other in double helix. That confers stability of the helical structure only. These two, by these two reasons only, this helical structure is so stable only. So five salient features are for their, five features are there for the DNA. I will show the slide to you. So these are the salient features. It is made up of two polynucleotide chain only. This polynucleotide chain is made up of sugar phosphate bond only. Sugar and phosphate. Base pairs are projecting towards inside only. Projecting towards the inside only. And next one is that the two chains have anti-parallel property. The two chains have anti-parallel property. Anti-parallel property means one chain is coming from 3' to 5', other is going from 5' to 3'. One is coming downwards and other is going towards the upwards. The two chains are coiled in a, the base in two strands are paired through hydrogen bond, forming base pairs, forming base pairs. The two chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion and plane of one base pair stack over the other in double helix. These are the short form of five salient features of the DNA. Salient features of the DNA. These are the 5 points. Understood? These are the 5 points of the salient features. It's important question many times asked by the board. So you have to take care that. Now compare the structure of purines and pyrimidines. Purines and pyrimidines are nitrogenous base. Can you find out why the distance between two polynucleotide chains in DNA remains almost constant? Compare the structure of purine and pyrimidine. Can you find out why the distance between two polynucleotide chains in DNA remains almost constant? Because one purine is always bonded to pyrimidine only. Pyrimidine always bonded to purine only. Purine only. Pyrimidine bonded to purine on the other side and purine bonded to pyrimidine on the other side. Moreover, in between these base pairs, two hydrogen bonds are there in between adenine and thymine, and three bonds are there between the cytosine and guanine. The proportion of a double helix structure for DNA and the simplicity in explaining the genetic implication become revolutionary only. The proposition of a double helix structure for DNA and the simplicity in explaining the genetic implication become revolutionary. Very soon, Francis Crick proposed a central dogma. Francis Crick proposed the central dogma in molecular biology. Watson and Crick only invented the double helix structure of DNA. In that, Crick proposed the central dogma in molecular biology, which states that the genetic information always flows from, this is very important only, DNA to RNA and RNA to protein. RNA only making the protein. Protein is making it ribosomal RNA, but all the message required for the synthesis of the protein is passing from DNA to RNA. So the center of central dogma is DNA only. This diagram all of you understood. This diagram is explaining the salient features. 5 salient features are there. This diagram explaining the salient features of DNA. Now this is the diagrammatic representation of central dogma. In the center, DNA will be there. Center DNA. From one DNA, one more DNA is forming. A copy of DNA is forming, that is known as replication. That is known as replication. From one DNA, this copy is forming. Replica. Exact copy is called a replica. So this process is called a replication. And another process, from DNA, RNA is forming. From DNA, RNA is forming, that is messenger RNA is forming, that is called a transcription. Transcription. And from messenger RNA synthesizing protein, that is called a translation. So 3 terms we learned now: replication, transcription and translation. What is meant by replication? DNA to DNA. From one DNA, this copy or replica is making, that is called a replication. And DNA is making messenger RNA is called a transcription. DNA is making messenger RNA is called a transcription. And messenger RNA synthesizing protein, that is called a translation. Messenger RNA synthesis protein. So protein formation, first replication should be takes place, then transcription should be takes place, then only messenger RNA is forming, then only translation will be takes place. So protein synthesis is controlled by whom only? DNA. This is called the central dogma. This is invented by Francis Crick only. Francis Crick. So central dogma, this diagram all of you understood no diagram. DNA replication. What is meant by replication? DNA to DNA is called a replication. And what is transcription? Messenger RNA from DNA is called a transcription. Messenger RNA from DNA is called a transcription. And protein, messenger RNA to protein is called a translation. Messenger RNA to protein is called a translation. This is called a central dogma. In some viruses, the flow of information is in reverse direction. In some viruses, the flow of information is in reverse direction, that is from RNA to DNA. In some viruses, the flow of information is in reverse direction also can be takes place. Naturally, in higher organism like a human being, DNA, from DNA only RNA is forming. DNA to RNA. RNA is forming from DNA. But in smaller organism like a virus, reverse direction means from RNA, DNA is forming. So in some virus, the flow of information is in reverse direction only. That is from RNA to DNA. So what name we can suggest for that? This is called reverse transcription. Transcription means RNA is forming from DNA. RNA is forming from DNA. If DNA is forming from RNA, it is called a reverse direction only. So it is in reverse direction. So it is called a reverse transcription. Reverse transcription. So understood. Now in this paragraph, we had learned the salient features of the DNA. 5 salient features are there. It is made of 2 polynucleotide chain where the backbone is made up of sugar phosphate and the bases project inside. That is the first point. And next one is the 2 chains have anti-parallel polarity. Anti-parallel polarity means if one chain has the polarity 5' to 3', the other has 3' to 5'. Already I told her that one is coming downward and other is going upward. So the bases in 2 strands are paired through hydrogen bond forming base pairs. Adenine forms 2 hydrogen bond with the thymine from opposite strand and vice versa. Similarly, guanine is bonded with the cytosine with the 3 hydrogen bonds. As a result, always a purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine. This generates approximately uniform distance between the 2 strands of the helix. The 2 chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion. The 2 chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion. The pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer and there are roughly 10 base pairs in each tail. Consequently, the distance between a base pair in a helix is approximately equal to 0.34 nanometer. And fifth one, about the stability of DNA double helical structure. 2 reasons are there. The plane of one base pair stacks over the other in double helix. This, in addition to hydrogen bonds, confers stability of the helical structure. This only we had learned. Now afterwards we had learned that central dogma. This is the diagram explaining the central dogma. Central dogma invented by Francis Crick, which states that genetic information flows from DNA to RNA to protein. From DNA to first it will be come to the RNA. From RNA it will be go to the protein. If central dogma asking this diagrammatic representation also you have to draw along with the answer. DNA to messenger RNA to protein. DNA double helix structure it is. In some viruses, the flow of information is in reverse direction. That is from RNA to DNA, especially in virus. DNA is forming from RNA only. This is actually a reverse process. In higher organism, RNA is forming from DNA. But in smaller organisms like a virus, especially in virus, DNA is forming from RNA. So this process is called reverse transcription. What it is calling as reverse transcription. So understood all of you. These 2 diagram also you have to mention there. And more, this one you have to central dogmas diagram. And this diagram also very good. It is very clear diagram only. So I didn't prepare a slide for this one because this one conveys what it meant. Base pairs also shown and ribbon shaped polynucleotide chain also shown. And I like to do like this. Understood. This adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Now we are going to another topic, that is packaging of DNA helix. It has a helical structure. It has a long polymer. Many nucleotides are there. This all you are knowing. How it is packing inside the nucleus. DNA is present inside the nucleus on the chromosome only. So now we are going to learn packaging of DNA helix only. Before learning packaging of DNA helix, how it is in prokaryotes and in eukaryotes separately given. What is meant by prokaryote? Where nucleus is underdeveloped. The cell in which nucleus is underdeveloped and nuclear membrane is not there. Nuclear membrane is not there, then it is called a prokaryote. Undeveloped nucleus, poorly developed nucleus without a nuclear membrane. But eukaryotes are well developed nucleus with the nuclear membrane. So taken the distance between two consecutive base pairs as 0.34 nanometer. If the length of the DNA double helix in a typical mammalian cell is calculated by multiplying the total number of base pair with the distance between two consecutive base pairs, that is 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 BP into 0.34 into 10 raised to minus 9. That is 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 into 0.34 into 10 raised to minus 9 meter per base pair only. So we are considering the distance between the base pair. Already we had learned that is 0.34 nanometer only. 0.34 nanometer, that is 0.34 into 10 raised to minus 9 meter. The length of DNA double helix in a typical mammalian cell is calculated by multiplying the total number of base pair with the distance between two consecutive base pair, that is 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 base pairs into 0.34 into 10 raised to minus 9. That understood? It comes out to approximately 2.2 meters. So this is the length, approximately this is the length of the DNA. How much it is? 2.2 meters. A length that is far greater than the dimension of a typical nucleus. Typical nucleus dimension, see that 10 raised to minus 6 meter only, 10 raised to minus 6 meter nucleus dimension. In that 2.2 meters helix should be occupied. Understood? So first it should be packaged, then only this 2.2 meters DNA double helix can be occupied inside the nucleus, which is having the dimension 10 raised to minus 6. Understood? How is such a long polymer packaged in the cell? That only we are going to learn. Understood? How DNA is packaged inside the nucleus. So if the length of E. coli DNA is 1.36 millimeter, can you calculate the number of base pairs in E. coli? In prokaryotes, such as E. coli, though they do not have a defined nucleus. I already told that prokaryote means their nucleus is not defined. The DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. We will think like that only. We will think like that because in prokaryote, nuclear membrane is not there. Means outer wall is not there. Nuclear membrane is not there. So this DNA is spread throughout the cell like that. A concept may be come to our mind, but it is not like that. DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. DNA being negatively charged. What is the charge of DNA? It is a negatively charged structure. Is held with some protein that have positive charge. DNA is negatively charged, but it is held with some protein having positive charge in a region termed as nucleoid only. In a particular region only it will be seen inside the nucleus. Inside the nucleus only seen, but inside the nucleus it is not spread and seeing like that. At a particular region it will be seen. That region is called a nucleoid. So DNA, what is the charge of DNA? Negatively charged. It is associated with some proteins having positive charges in a region termed as nucleoid. The DNA is nucleoid is organized in large loops held by proteins only. The DNA in nucleoid is organized in large loops held by proteins. So DNA being negatively charged is held with some proteins that have positive charges in a region termed as nucleoid. The DNA in nucleoid is organized in large loops held by proteins. In eukaryotes, this organization is much more complex only. In eukaryotes, this organization is much more complex. There is a set of positively charged basic protein called histone. DNA is negatively charged only. Along with the DNA, some set of positively charged basic protein are there that is called a histone. A protein acquires charge depending upon the abundance of amino acid only. More positively charged amino acid is present in a protein, then the protein will be positively charged. If more negative amino acids are present, then protein will be negative, like that only. Histones are rich in the basic amino acid residues like lysine and arginine only. Lysine, arginine, both of them are positively charged amino acid only. So histone got a positive charge. Understood? So lysine and arginine, both of them are positively charged amino acid only. So histone got a positive charge. Both amino acid residues carry positive charges in their side chain. Histone are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called histone octamer. What it is calling as histone octamer. 8 structure. Octa means 8 only. So histones are organized into to form a unit of 8 molecules. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called as histone octamer. Histone are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called as histone octamer. The negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form a structure called a nucleosome. Histone is positively charged. DNA is negatively charged. So this histone octamer and negatively charged DNA is wrapped around to form a structure called a nucleosome. A typical nucleosome contains 200 base pairs of DNA helix. A typical nucleosome contains 200 base pairs. Nucleosomes constitutes the repeating unit of a structure in nucleus. Nucleosome constitutes the repeating unit of a structure in nucleus called a chromatin. It's a thread-like stained colored body seen in nucleus only, chromatin. The nucleosomes in chromatin, Chromatin is chromosome only, but it is very thread-like, fine thread-like structure spread all over the nucleus. So it is called a chromatin. Thread-like stained body seen in nucleus. The nucleosomes in chromatin are seen as beads on string structure when viewed under electron microscope only. Beads on string structure. Theoretically, how many such beads do you imagine are present in a mammalian cell? The beads on string structure in chromatin is packaged to form chromatin fibers. The beads on string. I will show the structure now. The beads on string structure in chromatin is packaged to form chromatin fibers that are further coiled and condensed at a metaphase stage of cell division to form chromosome. This beads on string structure in chromatin packaged to form chromatin fibers that are further coiled and condensed. The condensed means short in size to form chromosome. The packaging of chromatin at a higher level requires additional set of proteins that collectively are referred to as non-histone chromosomal protein. Non-histone chromosomal proteins. In a typical nucleus, some region of the chromatin are loosely packed. In a typical nucleus, some regions of chromatin are loosely packed and are referred to as euchromatin. Euchromatin. And chromatin that more densely packed and stained dark are called heterochromatin. So what is the difference between euchromatin and heterochromatin? In a typical nucleus, some region of the chromatin are loosely packed and are referred to as euchromatin. The chromatin that is more densely packed and stained dark are called heterochromatin. Another difference, euchromatin is said to be transcriptionally active. Transcriptionally active. Transcription means some messenger RNA is forming from this portion only. But whereas heterochromatin is inactive. Two differences are there. In a typical nucleus, some region of chromatin, some portion of the chromatin are loosely packed, so they will be stained light only. If it is loose, means stained light only, and are referred to as euchromatin. Euchromatin is transcriptionally active. That is the second point. Like that, the chromatin that is more densely packed and stains dark are called heterochromatin. Euchromatin is said to be transcriptionally active chromatin, whereas heterochromatin is inactive only. Now I will show the slide to you. Packaging of DNA double helix structure only shown here. First in prokaryotes, see that. The distance between two consecutive base pair is the distance between two consecutive base pair is 0.34 nanometer. 0.34 nanometer. Total number of base pair in a typical mammalian cell is 6.6 into 109 base pairs. So distance between two consecutive base pair is 0.34 and total number of base pairs is only. So this two multiplying, then what will be happen? We will be get the total length 2.2 meters. DNA which is negatively charged held with some proteins that have positive charge in a region termed as nucleoid. DNA which is negatively charged held with some positive proteins in a region termed as nucleoid. The DNA in a nucleoid is organized in large loops held by the protein. This is the packaging of DNA double helix in prokaryote. Now we will be say packaging in eukaryote. Set of positively charged basic protein called the histones. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called the histone octamer. Histone octamer. Negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form a structure called the nucleosome. Nucleosome constitutes the repeating unit of structure in nucleus called the chromatin. And this one, packaging of double helix in eukaryote, I had summarized like that. Histone, positively charged protein, 8 molecules combined together to form histone octamer. It is forming a structure called a nucleosome. From nucleosome, chromatin fibers are forming. These chromatin fibers are seen as a beads on string structure only. Beads on string. Chromatin fibers, chromosomes, non-histone chromosomal protein, non-histone chromosomal protein also there. These are said about the histone only. So non-histone chromosomal protein, euchromatin and heterochromatin. Some are loosely packed and some are closely packed. Loosely packed having light stained only and tightly packed having dark stain. Some portion is very active in the transcription. Transcription means from that portion only messenger RNA forming. Some are inactive only. So in this session, salient features of double helix structure we had learned the salient features. These are the salient features. Salient features, 5 salient features are there. Then structure of polynucleotide chain already we had learned. Then after salient features learned. Today in this session we had learned salient features, packaging of DNA double helix in prokaryotes, packaging of DNA in eukaryotes, and I had summarized the packaging of double helix in eukaryote in such a way that only. So I think all of you understood. It's a very important lesson only we are going by now. So take care that all of you have to prepare very well. And 20th July we are having test of first lesson. All of you have to prepare on that. At the same time, I want to say that many of the practical, biology practical, you have to write into the book only. That practical you start to write into the notebook. Diagrams also draw. It will make you too easy. So only 4 or 5 doing practicals are there that we will be do when we are meeting each other again in the school. Then the writing practical, already I send the values and all and the diagrams and all I have sent in so that you start to write. Otherwise it will be a burden for you at the time of board exam. So first when you are sitting simply, you complete 1 practical every day, 2 practical every day. So in the month of January and February, you will get more time to prepare for the board exam. Understood? Very nice. Yeah.